What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and my body saw fit to give me this, so I'm currently working to try to get rid of it. If you guys want to see something really cool, check this out. That's Alex Ross art. That is Alex Ross's Captain America, and that's Alex Ross's Superman. They're actually two parts of a single series, and then that is Blue Lantern Captain America versus Red Lantern Bucky Barnes. But I had those commissioned, or at least had that one commissioned by a fan, the Captain America and the Bucky Barnes. I had that commissioned by a fan, which is just really, really awesome. So that's a one of a kind. It's unique. You can't find it anywhere else. But in any event, we are bringing people on to Geek Culture Explained. So we are doing the press junket for the Morbius film, but I want to specify ahead of time, it won't actually be me. It's going to be a guy named Karan that we brought on from the Nice Cast. Really, really cool guy. He's really awesome. But we brought him on to cover some of the press junkets that are going on here at Geek Culture Explained. We're also launching more shorts, and we're looking at bringing somebody on for shorts content. And then we have podcasts, one of which is going to absolutely blow your mind. When that podcast launches, son, it's gonna blow. It's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna be absolutely amazing. But anyway, guys, let's get on with the press junket. Just wanted to make a quick little video, letting you guys know what's going on and why you're not going to see me there.
Garanangia with Comics Explained. Jared Leto, pleasure to meet you, man.
Good to meet you too, brother.
So I always wonder anytime I see you, well, first and foremost, congratulations for Morbius. Anytime I see you, whether it's films or IG live streams or red carpet appearances, I'm always curious. When are you going to drop the hair care routine for us?
Oh, look at that hair over there, man. You got
man,
you got locks of love over there. And beard
these are
and the
Indian
hair.
genetics and Florida heat, and with all these lights I got on in this room.
I mean, we're almost twins over here. You got a little bit more of a bob than I do, though. You got a little bit more of a bob. You're looking good, man. I don't know.
Likewise, man. I'm trying to follow in your footsteps.
Well, I guess I don't know what it is, but just
appreciate you, man.
I'm just gonna admit it. It's a wig, okay? It's a wig. I tape it on and off every night.
Breaking news: Jared Leto wears a wig.
That's right.
So now Morbius isn't your first rodeo when it comes to the superhero comic book culture community, but it is the first time you are interpreting a character that has never been in live action before. And I was watching one of your interviews where you were talking about sort of your commitment to artistry and self-expression. So I was wondering, is there any internal dialogues when you are working on a character who has this long lineage of interpretations throughout various forms of mediums? Or is there sort of more apprehension about interpreting a character that's relatively a clean slate within general audiences like Morbius?
I mean, I was really excited to bring this character to the screen, the big screen, for the very first time. I mean, I think that's quite an honor. It's really hard to find a character that hasn't been realized by someone else, especially in the Marvel canon. It's more and more rare. Less and less likely that you're going to have the opportunity. So I feel like pretty special, pretty fascinating, and I really loved it.
Nice. Now, speaking of that commitment to self-expression, I feel like that is becoming somewhat increasingly more difficult in today's society. It feels like, anything you kind of say or do, we're all under this microscope of sorts. So in your reflective moments, do you ever think about where that commitment to self-expression kind of originated? Because I do think that's important for artists, and I think even just media personalities moving forward.
I don't know. That's a very big question. I just hunker down and try to do the very best that I can. I try to, with as much dignity and grace as I can muster, really, I try to do the best job that I can. I always feel like I owe it to audiences to do my best, even if I fail gloriously. It's like, I took a swing. And I think it's better to fail than not to take a great risk. I'd rather take a great risk and fail than not risk at all. And I think I owe it to myself. I owe it to the filmmakers. I owe it to audiences, and I'll continue to do that.
Yeah, and I've been teaching myself filmmaking over the pandemic, and that's something that I've kind of been struggling with. Of like, we all want to be uninhibited artistically, but we also have to adapt to what the current climate and things are in regards to, okay, maybe I need to kind of maybe filter myself a little bit with what I'm saying or how I'm saying it. So I feel that's a constant dilemma. And I feel like that kind of suits the character of Morbius, of this internal dilemma of like,
Sure, but when
playing
it comes
God.
to being an artist, and like, you know, with your art, it's you really have to the world and follow
Mm,
your dreams. I mean, you have to be willing to upset some people. And I think that, you know, when it comes to, if it's, you're talking about your personal art and what you have to say, you know, I believe in, you know, 1,000% in and your freedom to express yourself and your creative dreams. That's a beautiful thing.
FTW. We're going to wrap this interview with FTW. Jared Leto,
Okay,
thank
man.
you for your time. It was a pleasure meeting you. Congratulations once again.
Thanks, brother. Bye-bye.
Adria, Daniel, pleasure to meet both of you guys. And congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
So Adria, it's our first time talking, so I have to be transparent. I spent a considerable amount of time watching YouTube videos of you, specifically ones in which you were introducing yourself because I wanted to get the pronunciation of your name correct. So how did I do?
I really appreciate it. And I think you did a really, really good job. Thank you for not.
Because I'm Indian and I'm Indian, so my name is Karan. That's the Indian pronunciation, but I get called Karan, and I don't want to be a stickler about it. So those are fine, but I also get called Karen as well. And it's not really an endearing time to be called Karen. So those
really
cultural...
that.
Thank you. And those cultural intricacies really fascinate me. And that's what I kind of wanted to lead off with, Daniel, and ask you. As a foreign filmmaker, is there sort of a personal responsibility you feel to interject and infuse some of the cultural sensibilities of Sweden and Swedish cinema in general?
Yeah, sure. But you know, I'm also Chilean. I'm a refugee, and you know, and I was brought up in West Africa. So you know, I think it's important to infuse you know, all of our cultures into our movies. I thought it was important to you know, to let the cast be the best cast that we could possibly have, and not let the idea that it should only be white people stop us from hiring the best people. So and I got support from the studio. So I think it's you know, it's an interesting, we're living in interesting times, and movies are going to get better and more interesting, and we're going to see stories from more different places. So yeah,
That's
man.
amazing. Yeah, because representation is such an interesting conversation to me, because I've been teaching myself filmmaking over the pandemic. So I often think about weaving sort of Indian sensibilities, and there's not too much for me to base myself off of visually. And also, I think representation, there's kind of a personal accountability as well. Like, we should all have more opportunities, but where we can interject those moments of maybe educating or making our cultures, respective cultures, more accessible, I think that's an important initiative for artists moving forward.
It's essential. It's essential that we do it. That's our. We had a moment. You remember when we did the scene? It was me, Adria, Al Madrigal, and Tyrese Gibson. We're making a scene, and nothing in the scene was about us being Latinos or, you know, there was no mention of it in the scenes. There was no mention of it in the character description. I wasn't hired because I was Latino. I was there because I was a good director. Adria was there because he was a great actor. So was Al, and so was Tyrese. But we're different, and that was the beauty of it also. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. And we did have a moment we sort of like all hugged and huddled up, and we were like, I can't believe this is happening. And even you know, we're all in the room, but also seeing, you know, Daniel, that is sort of like part of the world, you know, Chilean and Swedish. And I didn't know you grew up in West Africa.
yeah, I did.
Well, now I know.
Yeah.
So
and Adria, sorry to cut you off. Your character to me represents sort of like the moral compass of the story and the film. And I was curious if in your personal life you often find yourself being the moral compass for others, because that's a tough place to be, where you're the voice of reason and it feels like nobody really wants to listen to you or take you seriously.
I think you should ask the people around me, but I would say so. I think most of my friends and definitely my family come to me for a lot of that. I don't personally do it in my own life, but I'm great at doing it for others. I'm great
Relatable.
at others. Sometimes, we make mistakes, but it's easier to see other people's mistakes.
Relatable. Well, I want to thank both of you for your time. I look forward to whatever you have working up in the future, and I'm glad I got your name right. Those YouTube videos paid off.
Thank you so much, and good luck with your film.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Hey man, how's it going?
As I live and breathe, Matt Smith. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Is that Michael Jordan in the background?
It is Michael Jordan in the background. It's a cardboard cutout I won in a bet back when they were in the finals. So this is your first initiation to the pop superhero comic book culture. And I think every fan would want to know what took so long, but also what was it about Morbius that really drew you to this role?
Well, I was intrigued to play a villain, for one thing. I've always loved, we're not meant to say this, but this is the truth, I'm sorry. I've always loved vampire movies. I've always been attracted. I think back of some of my favorite movies. Interview with a Vampire I was always obsessed with, and just that idea of sort of night and day and a villain in the dark and all that. There was a fabulous cast involved, and I met the director Daniel and was just really taken with his approach and what he wanted to do with it. And of course, being in a movie of this scale is something I hadn't done, and I thought it would be a fabulous challenge, as it turned out to be.
Nice. Now, are you an avid spectator of the culture around all these films, or was there a certain level of trepidation? Because I feel like there's a lot that comes with the culture around these films, between discourse on the internet, there's YouTube content that goes out, there's very passionate debates. So it can kind of feel overwhelming to know you're kind of just throwing yourself in the fire. Was that a concern for you?
Well, no, because I think that's part and parcel of the culture of this type of movie. And luckily I've had an experience like that with Doctor Who. There's a similar level of fandom and sort of intrigue and interest in the world and who's playing the parts, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. So no, I think hopefully it does stir up debate. And it's like anything, some people will like it, some people it just won't be for them. That's all right.
Nice. Yeah, nice. Now you mentioned Daniel. So I've been teaching myself filmmaking over the course of the pandemic. So I've been really curious on what the actor's sort of perception of a director is. Like, do you have particular requirements for a director? Is there certain expectations do you have, or do you have to be malleable in a sense that it's the director's film, so I'm just going to have to adapt myself according to that personality? Because I think that's something that often gets lost within the artistic endeavors, is you're not only managing your own personality and your own sort of insecurities and experiences, but you are managing that of others as well. So if you could shed some light on that, please.
Yeah, well, I think that's a very pertinent.
Sorry, that was a loaded question for you.
No, that's okay. I think it's a very good question. I think, look, I think absolutely you've got to be malleable as an actor, and you've got to adapt, and you've got to be willing to take direction and change and compromise. But also, do you expect anything of the director? Yes, you expect them to be good and know more about the story than you do, and have a vision and something you want to follow and set a tone and a way of working. At least I do. And Daniel certainly does that. He sets a really wonderful tone on set. He's brave. He's brave with the actors. He's brave with the way he tells a story. And I think he shoots really vividly and interestingly. And I think he's got a great eye for filmmaking. So I jumped at the chance to work with him, to be honest. And I liked him.
Nice.
I liked the company.
Well, I'll be patiently waiting for a Matt Smith masterclass one day. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Well, listen, I'll be patiently waiting for a masterclass from you, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you for the encouragement.
Yeah, of course, mate. Go for it.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Hey, it's a pleasure to meet you. Be lucky.
Likewise. Thank you.
Bye now.